A slam poem by the Pot Brothers at Law.
Am I being detained or am I free to go? This is what to say, my lawyer tells me so. The cops are out there doing a job, sometimes they must contain a mob.
A thankless job that saves many lives.
At their home are worried children, husbands, and wives.
But, does that give them the fucking right to stomp on my motherfucking rights?
So we are here for you, the cannabis community, to fight.
To let you know it's okay to just shut the fuck up when cops ask questions.
Start with I'm not discussing my day.
End with I invoke the fifth. These ain't suggestions, these are words to live by, to memorize, see? Because it's not about the size of that cop's gun.
Because they want you to run.
So they can pull that macho gun and shoot you for fleeing the scene. Some cops are just plain mean.
We must shut it off.
Shut it down? Those feelings of anger that instantly come around when that cop has to show his power and his might without cause, without reason.
And we know they're not right.
We must remain calm.
Keep the devil sleeping on the left shoulder.
We must be cold, even colder.
Ice must flow through your veins to shut that heat.
The blood to rush the brain straight from your feet.
When that cop disrespected you, cuz you wouldn't tell him what that fucking smell was. You wouldn't tell him what that smell was. What's that smell? You don't think that smell? You didn't tell him what that smell was. And he accuses you of a pot DUI.
Because he absolutely knows that's your buzz.
But see, they can't tell and they don't know.
Only if you tell them so. Oh, officer, I smoked a joint a few hours ago.
Oh, officer, here's my medical record.
Officer, I'm a marijuana patient. I'm a marijuana patient, officer.
We live in America.
Prohibition still exists.
That cop's gonna do whatever he's gonna do.
50-50, he arrests you. Now you give us a chance. Give all attorneys a chance to represent you in court with a defense that's blazing. Let us show you in court we're amazing.
But we can only do that if you listen to our tips.
Now, let me see you move your lips. You know the drill. When the cops ask questions, we say,
I'm not discussing my day.
am I being detained or am I free to go? I invoke the fifth.
Then you shut the fuck up.
It's all about what you say and what you do. We've given you the script. We are telling you what to say. We are telling you what to do. We've put your hands up in protection mode.
But should you take a shot to the judge?
That's the end of round two.
We will be here fighting for the cannabis community because we are the Pot Brothers at Law.
Start your day the Hempful way. Hempful Farms is a family-owned and operated hemp business with a full range of products to offer you, your family, and your furry friends. We believe in making a natural alternative product affordable to everyone. All of our organic products are third-party tested and a great alternative to many pharmaceuticals. Visit us online or any of our retail stores to learn more. Start your day the Hempful way. Hempful Farms.
What's up, guys? G.I. Mary Jane coming to you from SDZ.Today, the network built by activists for activists. We're not going to censor you here. We like the truth. It feels oh so good to spread it, even though it may not always be pretty. You guys following this war on the streets? The battle going on in any town in America every single day? In fact, in about 20 more seconds here from when I started this video, one person will be arrested for simple drug possession, not for kingpin, not for trafficking, not for hurting anybody or stealing anybody's property, but simply for being in possession of a substance that isn't regulated by the government. Here we are coming around to the 50-second mark, and in another 50 seconds, another person will be arrested. Think about that. Let that sink in for a minute. How many people every day are losing their freedoms for a simple drug possession? I've got some statistics here from the Drug Policy Alliance. These guys are pretty monumental. They're trying to change a lot of things, not just for cannabis, but for psilocybin, for disproportionate arrests, I'm just going to go down the list here. This is drugpolicy.org, if anybody ever wants to reference it. I share these facts periodically. And believe it or not, they've been shut down by Facebook, by Instagram, by Twitter on more than one occasion over the years. So I'm just going to read a couple of these statistics. And this list is long. So we'll start at the beginning. The amount spent annually in the U.S. on the war on drugs, $47 billion. That's billion with a B, folks. That's your taxpayer money going towards the arrest of peaceful citizens. We're going to take it back to 2017, the number of arrests in the U.S. for drug law violations. 1,632,921. The number of those drug arrests that were for possession only, that means it's in your pocket or in your car and you probably got pulled over for a tag light or something silly, and then you gave consent for them to search your vehicle. We'll go over our rights later on. The number of drug arrests that were for possession only, out of that 1,632,921, 1,394,514 were for simple possession only. That's 85%. You guys, what are they really saving us from here? Are they saving us from some guy taking his joint home and sitting on the couch and downing a Twinkie? A little scary, right? Number of those charged with marijuana law violations who were arrested for possession only, 599,282. That's 90% out of the total arrests that year, which was 659 some thousand. The percentage of people arrested for drug law violations who are Black or Latino, 46.9%. So despite the fact that the Black and Latino population make up 1/3, 31% of the entire U.S. population, 47% of them account for all the arrests. Something's not right there. I mean, let's face it. Cannabis isn't a Black thing. It's not a Latino thing. It's not a Christian thing, an atheist thing, a straight thing, a lesbian thing. Cannabis is a human thing. We've been using this plant ever since the beginning of history, when somebody came across it growing naturally. Oh, by the way, I'm not sure if you guys know, it's called weed because it is a weed that grows naturally like all other weeds. And if you run out into a thick forest somewhere, you'll probably find a pot plant there if you look far enough. So we're going to take a minute. We're going to toke one to all of the victims of the drug war, to all of the people who lost their freedom simply for being in possession of a plant or any other substance, to all of the parents who are unrightfully taken from their children, all of the children who won't see their parents because they're doing a 20-year sentence for having a joint. The media may have forgotten you guys, but the activists at SDZ.Today, we remember.
Wendy Love Edge here. I am the founder of Bulldozer Health, and you can check it out at bulldozerhealth.org. I'm also a cannabis activist and patient. So I'm here today to speak with you about plant prisoners. This is a really important topic, and to talk about it, I feel like I have to back up just a little bit and talk about what's happening in the United States where cannabis is concerned. So we have been in this cycle of legalizing either medically or recreationally. I'll do my little and because all use is really medical use, right? So if you are using the medicine after work to relax, you're using it to help you sleep, you're using it to decrease pain, but maybe you don't have a diagnosis that's on a random list that a state put together, you're still using it medically, right? So yeah, so the states one by one have been legalizing for medical and some recreationally, and they all have their rules. You know, they have diagnoses on a list, and if you have one of the diagnoses on the list, then maybe you could find a doctor and pay some exorbitant rate and get recommendations so that you can get a medical card. If you don't have a diagnosis on the list, but it's helping you, it doesn't matter, because the list is what matters. And then, so you get your card potentially, and then there are limits on how much medicine you can obtain and how much you can keep on your person and how much can be in your home. If the state has grow rights, then you will also have limitations on how many plants you can have and how many new plants you can have, how much you can harvest, right? So there's all these rules, and geographically it really depends on where you are as to whether any of this even applies to you. If the state has full legalization, you may have a little more room. Frequently when there's adult use and full legalization, there's definitely grow rights. It seems to be when it's only medical, some states don't pass the laws with grow rights, which really all comes down to greed, right? And so actually what's happening in the country is that everybody's super excited because they can make all kinds of money for the state because of this plant, right? We can fix the roads and fix the educational system. We have all this money coming in from taxing people's medicine. Do you see what's wrong with this picture? So the federal government knows that the medicine is medicine. They have a patent on it as a neuroprotectant, and yet they won't end prohibition and deschedule the medicine, take it out of class 1, which that makes it so that we're unable to even do any studies on the medicine to give real information. Studies that are done here in the United States, it's very hard to study because it's a class 1 substance, along with heroin. So the trap really is that it looks like people are gaining some access, when really it's not freedom or access at all for most people. So if medical passes, let's say without grow rights, then people are forced to shop at the dispensary if they want to stay legal. But frequently people can't afford the dispensary because the prices are out of control, and they may have a heavy tax on them as well. And so there's that piece of it. And it puts people in a position to where they have to decide if they're going to work on healing their body and using medicine that works for them, or breaking the law. And that happens all over the country every day. Because we still have federal prohibition, people are not able to carry their medicine from state to state. So I'm in Arkansas, let's say, I'm a patient, and I have to go to a family reunion in Texas. So now I purchase my medicine legally, but I'm unable to carry it with me legally to go to this family reunion. My medical status has not changed at all. I still have the same problems, but I can't carry it to the reunion. Now, if I was on pharmaceuticals and taking prescribed opiates and Valium, I could have those pills with me and be perfectly fine, right? The conditions don't change just because geographically you go from one place to the next. It absolutely is ludicrous and does not make any sense. And because of all of these rules, so going from state to state, the amount you can have on you, on your person or in your home, the amount of plants you can grow, or maybe there's no grow rights, all of these restrictions and numbers, and it's not freedom. This is not freedom, folks. The plant is not free. And so what it does is it continues to feed the prison system. In most states, prisons are for-profit entities. I think California just changed that, thankfully. And I'm hoping that around the country that will be true. Because we're still looking at greed. We're still looking at, based on race and age, discrimination from police. And many times we're talking about patients who are very ill and really just want to have access and to use their medicine. So we need to change all of this. The only way to change it is to end prohibition and deschedule the medicine. That is the only way. I am a patient, not a criminal. Anyone who is using the medicine medicinally is a patient and not a criminal. We simply want to be in control of our own health, empowered in our health, and what better is there than natural medicine that heals so many different conditions and symptoms? It's really important that we all take a moment and really think this through. Is legalization the right path to decrease prisoners in jail? No, it isn't. In fact, we may see a rise in people arrested because now there's all these laid out rules that as a patient we have to make sure we follow, and if we don't follow them, we're considered a criminal, even though the medicine, a doctor said that the medicine would be helpful to our conditions. Really, there shouldn't be lists of conditions in states. A doctor should be able to see a patient and decide if this medicine would be helpful. This is a problem, though, because physicians are not trained in the endocannabinoid system. Many of them do not understand how the medicine works, and they're not really interested in doing that because they can't legally write recommendations or bill insurance companies because it's still federally illegal. So there are so many things that need to change. The current system, the way things are rolling, we're just creating more plant prisoners, and there's already far too many. Thankfully, some have received clemency. We're very hopeful that many of the prisoners, that people like Carrie Cannon are working so hard to help to obtain clemency. If you're on social media, you'll see her posts all the time talking about freelance Gloor and so many others. No one should be imprisoned for a plant, or for trying to heal themselves, or for trying to help patients to access this medicine that is so vital to people's health. So that's what I've got to say. Please check out my project at bulldozerhealth.org and watch or listen to the Wendy Love Ed Show with Topher Kogan, where health, music, and plant medicine meet. And stay empowered. Let's all keep working to end prohibition and deschedule. Take back your health, America.
Hi, my name is Chris Martin. My journey began back in 2010 in this state when we went legal here for cannabis. My wife and I were both legal patients and caregivers. We were allowed to grow 12 plants each, in which we did. The problem with that is the law stated at that time that if you had over 12 plants or over your allotted amount, which is 2.5 ounces of finished product, you were in direct violation or out of compliance. So my wife and I were raided in 2012 for making edibles. Once we went to court and fought these cases, these charges, we spent about 4 years in court doing so. And we realized very quickly that there weren't many people on our side, on the court side of things. So after 4 years of fighting our case, we decided that, coming out with a book and a documentary to expose a lot of the corruption on the court side and to expose some of these laws for what they really are was so important. That's why we did it. We felt it was necessary. The biggest issue with this situation, in my opinion, is the aftermath. My son, who is now 14, was 6 years old in our raid. In that raid, he had a barrel of an AR-15 shoved in his face, and the PTSD that he suffers from that now doesn't allow him to attend public school. Every time my wife and I have tried to drop him off and leave him at school, he leaves the schoolroom. He walks out. He's worried that if we get raided, there won't be anyone there for him to get picked up by. He's worried about, all kinds of things that come along with that raid. So those are some of the reasons why we get involved on this level in activism and advocate and speak for people. It's because there's many people who can't. There's still people locked up today who can't, and that's what this message is all about. So, yeah, I was sentenced to 2 years eventually over my case after looking at 127 years. So 2 years was really nothing. I could do that on my head. But since I've come home, we've done a lot of neat stuff, and that's what this is really about. Is about trying to get our family home, our locked up prisoners, the felons that are in jail right now. Let's get them home and show them what life's like afterwards. So we've started a few different things. We have ZonkaMiles.org, which is a nonprofit geared towards inmates of the drug war and felons of this cannabis drug-fueled fight. And we want to take it a step farther. So we've linked up with Leaf Academy and Sonia Gomez, and she's donated 10 classes to our nonprofit, which is ZonkaMiles.org. Our nonprofit is geared towards inmates that are coming home from prison for drug charges and kids that are turning 18 and going to age out of this system. That's what we're geared to do. We're geared to help those people. After meeting with Sonia Gomez on the podcast this morning, she donated 10 classes, which has a value of $6,000 per class. Now, this class includes mentorship. This class includes product development, and actually you're creating your own product line so you can start your own business and be on your own 2 feet. Those are the kinds of people that we are linking with and the types of advocacy and nonprofit work that we're doing to make a change, to make a difference. We understand that, there are so many people out there in the same position that need this help. That's why it's time to get on board with ZonkaMiles.org and help us out. We've also worked on a couple different programs. One's called Convicted Creations. Convicted Creations is a cookbook and a cooking show. The cooking show is based on prison food. I don't know if you've heard of tamale Doritos or ice cream in the dryer or any of that good stuff like that, but that's the stuff we focus on. I wrote a book showing people how to make that stuff. I also did a cooking show. So if you go to Convicted Creations on YouTube and look us up, there's 14 episodes that will show you exactly what it's about. Now, if you've been to prison or jail and have a story or a recipe that you want to show us and want to get on TV and make, then hit us up at trey@wecrushthebox.com. That's my agent. Or just go straight to Hempful Farms INC at Gmail and hit me up. We'll get you booked. We'll get it scheduled. We're getting ready to start filming season 2. That also brings me to Coloring Books for Convicts. Coloring Books for Convicts was a program started by me in prison. It's a nonprofit program where we sell inmates hobbycraft and artwork for no expense. It just puts money on the books of the person who designed the artwork or the hobbycraft. And it's my way of giving back. It's my way of making sure that those inmates aren't forgotten, that their families still feel the love coming from mom or dad that's been locked up. And that's important to me. I know how hard it was to feel like a man and a father trying to help take care of my family when I had no income and I was locked down and trapped. Yet I still felt responsible to take care of them because it was my choices and fault and reasons for being there. So this is my way of giving back, and this was a way for me to start a nonprofit to help those inmates that really need it. I don't think people understand what it's like when you're in prison and you don't have any money. You can't make phone calls. You don't have any visits. You can't go to the store and buy pencils and envelope. You're limited a lot. It's funny, even in prison, there's hierarchy. There's even levels of, income in there. So if you don't have any, then you don't have any privileges and you don't have any contacts. So that's really what this is about too. We want to make sure that those people have those abilities, the same abilities as everyone else. Just because you were convicted of a drug offense doesn't mean you should be sentenced to life. We all understand no one should be in jail for a plan. That's why we do this too. So really, we want to take the time to thank Leigh, Estes, and SDZ.Today for allowing this platform and allowing us to come on and speak and talk about what's important to us. We understand there's going to be glitches, and it's okay, Leigh. We work with you, man. We have glitches every day. We've been in business 9 years, so we love you very much. And just know that our nonprofit ZonkaMiles.org is always available to get involved. That's really what we're about, is the activism and the advocacy. If you want to get in touch or let us know, how you want to get involved with any of our programs, please contact me, 602-368-6922, or like I said, Chris at ZonkaMiles.org. That would help tremendously. We just want to take a little bit of time and say thank you to a few people. Trey with GCM Media, who's always sponsored us and helped us out on these journeys, who helped produce Convicted Creations, the book and the book and the cooking show. I want to say thank you. He supports the dream and the journey and understands what many of us, like me, in this position have been through. So definitely them and Zonka. I want to say thank you to Zonka. Zonka is amazing. They're the company that I went to prison for, but now is back up and running. They also help sponsor a lot of things, and they really like to work with the community. So there's lots of ways for you to get in touch with us, Hempful Farms, Zonka, all of our nonprofit stuff. Just make sure you utilize it. If there's an inmate that you have in jail, or if there's someone that you want us to reach out to and write a letter or whatever it is, please reach out to us. That's exactly what we do. That's why we're here. So thank you for listening. Thank you for getting online. Thank you for all of the activists and help to make this whole process happen and the showcase happen. Thank you to HempFest and all the organizations out there that are still helping our inmates. Thank you POW 420 and THSI. We appreciate all you guys, every one of you guys that are out there working for the inmates. Amy Cando, Stephanie Landa with Freedom Grow, all you guys. We couldn't do this without you. If there's any way that Hempful Farms, Zonka, the Chris Martin story, Haters Make Me Famous, any of us, if we can get involved, please let us know. And also, for any of you in the Kansas area that are going to be in the Topeka area on Labor Day weekend, on September 1st, over at the Blue Moose in Topeka, we're going to have a meet and greet from 6 to 9. I'm doing a book signing for One Life and Convicted Creations. Afterwards, the very next day, at the Jayhawk Theater, the historic Jayhawk Theater, we will be selling tickets for $15 to come preview my premiere of my documentary, Haters Make Me Famous. All the proceeds will be going to restore the Jayhawk Theater. This is my hometown, this is my home state, and this is my way of giving back. So if you can get out and meet us there in Topeka, you might see people like Edward Fortune, the New Jersey Weed Man. Sonia Gomez is going to be there. Trey Goodman's going to be there. We've got a lot of neat people showing up just to attend this. Some of my old friends since grade school. So please come out and join us. Thank you for all the support, guys, and let us know if there's any way we can help out and support any of the endeavors that are taking place with SDZ TV. We're involved. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Hi, my name is Stacey Theis. I am the co-founder of the Cannabis campaign and the proud owner of the Cannabis, and a diehard activist for cannabis freedom, doing my prisoner outreach video for Leigh. Thank you, Leigh, for staying on me and wanting me to be a part of this project so much. The first 5 minutes, I just wanted to let you know why I do what I do and why it's so important that we care about our people that are prisoners of war. In 95, I ran away from Kentucky with my daughter to raise her in Arizona because I thought Kentucky was just fucked up. And I thought it was Kentucky. My mom had reported sexual abuse from a cop, and she was sent to a mental institution, and court ordered a bunch of pharmaceuticals. So while I was witnessing that, I also had the experience of going to our family farm an hour and a half away, and where my Uncle Gary lived. And at that time in my childhood, like, that was the happiest place to be, the safest place to be, and just all good love energy all around. And in 93, so they court ordered my mom on the pot because a cop was sexually abusing her. And then in 93, a bunch of law enforcement and National Guard task force invaded my family's farm for decades. We don't have it anymore. But invaded our family farm, and after a 7-hour standoff, shot down my beautiful Uncle Gary, who was a Purple Heart Vietnam veteran, in front of my baby cousin at 4 years old. And at the time, I didn't understand, but a lot of people showed up. Rallies were held during the court case that ended up being dismissed and all that stuff. Well, 18 years later, I was living in Arizona, and we passed medical marijuana, and I ran off to Oaksterdam University, where I was reunited with my Uncle Gary. They have a memorial of him in their museum, and I learned there that it wasn't just Kentucky that was fucked up, that we were fucked up as a nation, a society, and that there were people suffering every day like me, my cousin, and family were over prohibition all over the place. And I also learned the truth about cannabis and the real reason why she has been prohibited from us and criminalized for all these years. And maybe it was PTSD or whatever, but I became mad, a truth warrior. Like, everyone needs to know the truth. I didn't even know the full truth for 18 years. And then I got to meet people whose family members were in prison, like or people that died in prison, like Kristen Floor, and her dad died in prison. And I wrapped my mind around the fact that families all across the nation that were going through similar heartaches that me and my cousin were going through the same thing with their family in prison. A solution. When they killed my uncle, we could never get my Uncle Gary back. There is no amount of advocacy that I can do to ever reunite my Uncle Gary with my cousin and with me. But I can have hope, and I can do everything that I can to help all these families that are just a cage away from being reunited and having their dreams come true. Dreams that could never be achieved in my family's life after prohibition affected us the way it did, but we can be the voice for all of our prisoners of war that are still in cages, but still alive, that with efforts, we can unlock the doors that help reunite families and make a lot of things happen that are good. The first big thing is stay united and help each other and be a united force against all of this nasty, and helping all of our prisoners get out of prison and reunited with their families like they should be. So like efforts like Carry Cannons and Freedom Grows and Can Do Clemency and all of our prisoner outreach organizations and activists, follow them, pay attention, and listen to them when they ask for your help. Don't think that what they're asking for can't make a difference. Just like a scenario, anytime that if the haters or the negative people always come out when you're posting to make phone calls and write letters, it's always like surprising to me that people will take the time out to to be negative or act like, belittle our efforts in some way. But they make an impact. And as we do things like call for our prisoners, make calls, write letters, and support each other. I'm trying to turn this camera around. It does make a difference. Hold on, I'm trying to see. It won't let me turn my camera around. But Richard DeLisi spending 99 years in prison in Florida, calling and harassing the governor's office in a nice, peaceful way and emailing them. It does matter because you're getting people in those administration offices to bitch and complain because you think they like being bombarded. They have their work to do, and they're being bombarded by phone calls from people that care and want to get our prisoners free. So eventually they're going to start bitching and being like, what are we going to do with all these phone? When we do our part, we're going to bombard them enough to where they're tired of hearing from us. If that's all they do is get tired from hearing from us and give us our way and reunite our people, like set them free and reunite them, then we've done a great job. Like, we do want to peacefully comment so they don't harass and abuse our prisoners while they're in there and we're working to set them free. But I wish I could turn my camera around. But Richard DeLisi, he needs to be reunited with his family. Call the Florida governor, write her an email, or him, like every single day. It only takes a few minutes. But those things will help release our prisoners while efforts that like Can Do Clemency help our prisoners do to get out of prison, and work with like legislation, with like the First Step Act and all those things. That's helping. But so is calling for Lance Gore, calling the White House every day that you can, and let them know that you support the pending clemency that will release Lance Gore out of prison. Craig Cecil, making sure that he doesn't get abused in prison while he's spending life in prison for pot. Peggy and Glenn in Ohio, in Mercer County. I hope you guys can see this. Hold on. In Mercer County, they're wasting a lot of money answering our calls, taking our calls and our emails and stuff while they fight to put people in prison for making food out of cannabis in a legally medical state in Ohio. So all these things matter. What the Cannabis does matters. Like when we are rolling, we are helping. Before everybody had 5,000 friends on Facebook, we had a Cannabis that was going tirelessly, showing up at court supports, legislative hearings, bringing people together and being a united force. And that's why I go so crazy about getting the bus back on the road, is because the bus helps literally drive that united force that says, free our plant and our people, and overgrow the government that is keeping us so oppressed and enslaved with prohibition from a plant, while they try to still take it away from us through legalization efforts and stuff. So we have to be a united force. We can help make so much love magic happen by reuniting these people with their families. Like, that energy is so needed in the world right now, and it's going to be so beautiful when it happens. Peace.
My name is Joe Grumbine, and I became aware of the cannabis plant back in, about 1979. I think I tried it for the first time that year. I wasn't very old, as you might imagine, but it was one of those things that I was always the youngest in the people I hung out with, so I had some friends that were older than I, and I can still remember, I think I might have been in 7th grade or 8th grade, something like that, and a buddy of mine had a plant growing, and I remember, didn't know much about what pot was, but my buddy had harvested a bud, and I remember him taking it and chopping it up onto a paper plate, put it in a microwave to dry it, and then he rolled up a joint, and I took a couple of hits. First time I ever smoked pot. And it didn't do much for me. I didn't find it good or bad or sideways. It was an interesting experience. My dad smoked a tobacco pipe, and I puffed on that a few times before. It wasn't of much consequence. And then a couple of years later, when I was in high school, I again became acquainted with it and come to like it quite a bit. And, you know, back in those days, most of the pot had seeds in it. And I can remember in 1982, we had gotten a hold of some tie stick, and in that tie stick were some seeds. And I planted those seeds in a little pot that I stuck in a greenhouse that my dad had built. And it grew. And I went out there every day and took care of this little plant and thought it was interesting. It connected with me. Fast forward all the way to 2006, the economy went to shit, and I was in real estate at that time, and of course that's where the market went to hell. And between then and now, I mean, I had been teaching classes on organic gardening and herbal treatments and techniques, and building sort of a body of work, and began, you know, using this tincture in all kinds of different ways. But again, the economy went to hell, and a partner and I said, you know, California had passed a law back in 1996, and it was now almost 10 years later, and, you know, there was all kinds of cases, mostly federal cases, and the state seemed to be having some things sort of figured out. We went to a bunch of attorneys and decided we're going to take a chance. We found a place that didn't have a ban on it in Garden Grove, California, and we found a landlord who was willing to rent to us, and you know, we bootstrapped this thing. We built out the rooms, and we took this old building that used to be a massage parlor of all places, so it had really strange setup with all these little rooms in it. But we built the thing out and framed it and drywalled it and hung doors, and one by one met people who were in the business. We opened up this dispensary, and our model with this was to service true medicinal needs. We figured if we were acting in a way that was in the spirit of California law, we'd have the best chance at succeeding. And so I took my information that I had gathered over the years and the knowledge that I'd acquired, and started working with all the people that came in. And I was surprised. I thought to myself when we began this venture that hell, if 10% of the people were actually there for legitimate medical benefit, it would be of value. It would really have some substance. And I'd say, it's worth it. Subsequently, I learned that all cannabis use is medicinal value. Even recreational is medicinal. The whole act of relaxing and recreation is medicine. Why do we all want to go on vacation? Because it's healing. Why do we all look for something to take the edge off? Because the edge is there. All of these things, stress in life is a scourge. It's an antagonist. It's a thing that causes us disease. And so, frankly, anything that removes that without causing us additional harm is medicine. And I come to understand that as I'm moving along. But trying to sort of fast forward through this, but give a sense of who I am, we come to find a number of these folks, and I even got an oncologist that started referring patients to our dispensary, and people started coming in specifically to find relief and to be healed, and it was really fulfilling. And I would spend way too much time with our clients, and my partner and I went around and around over it, and I would want to give stuff away and just help people, and it was, well, it's a business, and and you know, it was this constant battle. Anyways, one day we were still building this thing out. We hadn't been that far into it, and we hadn't gotten a good security system yet. So one of the managers every day would take the entire quantity of the medicine home for safekeeping every day. And as we were still bootstrapping ourselves along. So it was my turn one night, and it was in December. I believe it was December 9th, 2007. And I got pulled over. Now, I got pulled over, and I had a little pickup truck, a little Toyota pickup truck that was literally full of pot. And I had duffel bags full of packaged material, and I had edibles, and I had clones in my front seat. I had pot, lots of pot. There was no denying what I had. I get pulled over, and I was like, oh, crap, you know. But I'm thinking to myself, hey, I'm legitimate in California. It's a local sheriff that's pulling me over. Yeah, you know, you don't know what to think. Anyways, he pulls me over. He's blown away, doesn't know what to think. I show him the paperwork I had. He says, well, you're not in Riverside. You're not in Orange County anymore. You're in Riverside. I was like, yeah. Well, I'm sitting in a holding cell. So the thing with getting locked up is, you know, they take a long time processing you into general population. And there's this whole process, you know, they intake you and they do this and they do that. They move you from one holding cell to the next. And while I was in there, it was the first time I'd ever been locked up, really. And sitting in this concrete holding cell, and it was probably, I don't know, about 8 foot by 10 foot maybe. Had a little, you know, combination toilet sink in there. And I'm all by myself, and I'm looking around at these walls and these metal bars, and I was like, holy shit. How did this happen? And I'm thinking to myself, what did I do that got me here? You know, you think to yourself, I made a series of choices. And I kept thinking, I didn't cause harm to anybody. I did everything I could to follow our laws. This isn't a federal bust. What the hell? How is it that I'm here? And some little switch snapped inside of me, and I says, damn, this isn't right. Something's not right. I got to do something about it. What's going to fix this prohibition problem? We said, well, if the problem is lies and misinformation, and the problem isn't the problem, so to speak, then maybe the truth will be the answer, or maybe supporting those people that are battling for their freedoms and other such things, maybe supporting them would be the answer. So we began the rough draft of what ultimately became the human solution. Ultimately, I went to court. We had our first court support. We created this solidarity ribbon, this little green ribbon with the red cross on it. The purpose of that was so that we could walk into a courtroom together as a group without saying anything, without having a shirt that said, I love pot, without doing anything that would piss people off, and without being militant like an armband that we had originally done, without anything that would cause conflict. We were here to show solidarity, to show that we're here together for something good. And we showed up in my preliminary hearing with the very first solidarity ribbons that was ever seen in court. And we watched it impact when we came in. There was maybe a dozen of us, and the courtroom wasn't very big. And we watched as every person on the other side of the bar, bailiffs, cops, witnesses, the judge himself, the prosecutor, they all looked at us, and they were looking at us intently, like, what the hell are these people here for? Because they're not used to seeing people in support of a defendant. It doesn't happen very often. Ultimately, fast forward, I went to many court appearances. They were not budging all the way down to the very end. And I went through 4 or 5 prosecutors, and finally I got a prosecutor who said, well, what is your case? And we dropped a truckload of discovery on them, and trial readiness hearing, they offered me the first deal, which was 7 years in prison. I said, well, that's unacceptable. Let's see what's going to happen. My attorney went in a closed room session with the judge and the prosecutor, and the judge ultimately dismissed my case. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. Best moment of my life. Not only did he dismiss my case, but he issued an order that stated in the order that I was found to be compliant with all California law, and that all my property was to be returned, including the money that was seized and the pot that was seized. And I thought, wow, that's just unbelievable. Come to find out that cops don't want to give back stuff that they take, and it took me months and threatened of lawsuits. But at one day, finally, I got the pot back. Well, it's a year old by now, not so good, but I had it all. It was in evidence bags, and it was the greatest feeling ever. Now, I had this order issued by a judge in California Superior Court stating that I was found to be legal, I was found to be compliant of all California laws, and I took a copy of that and I pinned it up in the dispensary as I was still working. A few weeks later, I was raided and began a nightmare, and that piece of paper disappeared, never to be found again.
Wow.
We began this battle in the court of Long Beach, and it's a long and arduous battle. And ultimately, I turned my case into my full-time job. And I advocated everywhere I could, every chance I could, and every time, you know, the Human Solution grew. And it was a local organization at the time, and, you know, we didn't have any reach outside of where it was at, Southern California, but we had several hundred people now that were engaged, that were came out of other groups, and, you know, we became our own group. And come time for my trial, we had a pretty impressive showing, and ultimately, in an 18-day trial, we had a protest out in front of that courthouse every single day. And it didn't happen easily, and it didn't happen because I was just lucky. It happened because it was my life's work. It was the thing I did every day. And I coerced, I begged, I helped, I did everything I could to help other people. And I got people to show up one way or another, and they did show up. And it's in no small part because they showed up that I'm a free man today. Ultimately, we now have a 501c3 federally recognized nonprofit. We have been doing court support and prison outreach now for almost 10 years. In fact, coming up in a month or so will be our 10th actual anniversary of the Human Solution being an organization. And about almost 5 years ago, we got our 501c3. And we've been in courtrooms all over the country and in other countries. Been in Great Britain, we've been in Canada, and I believe Australia, New Zealand, and our message is the same. We have a right bestowed upon us by our Creator to possess, cultivate, and distribute and whatever we want to do with this cannabis plant, because it's a plant and it doesn't cause harm to anybody, especially other people. And we don't see any reason why we can't do that except for a law. That's a bad law. Historically, there have been bad laws all the way from the beginning of time since first laws have happened. And guess what? Those laws should be broken, and this is one of those laws. So we teach about jury nullification. We teach about the importance of community support. We show up and help people, and when somebody is locked up, we do what we can to help them. And, you know, it's a difficult thing. We're an all-volunteer organization, and people come and go. You know, people claim they're going to do stuff, and they don't. They claim they're not going to do stuff, and they do. It's a mess. But meanwhile, there's enough of us that care enough that we're carrying forward, moving this thing forward. And there's a guy that calls into the show every week, and his name's Craig Cecil, but he hasn't been calling in for the last 4 or 5 weeks, and it's because, as far as we know, he's still locked up in the hole in the solitary housing unit. And it's disturbing and troubling, and we've done letter writing campaigns, and we've done press releases, and we're reaching out to come up with a plan to do more.
Hey everybody, this is Curt and Tracie. We're here to talk to you today about activism and what it means to be parents of a 420 prisoner. Lance is a medical marijuana prisoner serving 10 years in a federal prison for helping others to have safe access with medical marijuana in Washington State, which is totally legal. So go figure. Anyway, it's extremely hard coping, just barely coping with having your son in federal prison when every corner you turn there's a marijuana facility. You know, I don't know how these places are being ran, but I know Lance was completely state legal, and so it's really not fair. From what I can tell is Lance is in federal prison because he would not rat, narc, snitch on others, and so he was made an example of. Anyway, that's neither here nor there today. So activism for prisoners is extremely important, and mail, U.S. mail, sending the prisoners mail really helps them cope and stay in touch with the world outside. The outside is really important. So anyway, riding the prisoners is awesome, and wearing shirts like Free Lance and Free Other Prisoners is helpful too, to help people become aware that there are people in prison for marijuana. And before Lance decided that he was going to go to trial for the marijuana I had no idea that this kind of stuff went on because, of course, he was state legal, and who knew, right? But anyway, there's so much stuff going on that a lot of us don't know, and this is a good way to find out. So there's a lot of people in prison for marijuana, life for marijuana. Anyway, so, you know, you can get a safer stencil shirt made by Late Doc, and I miss him so much. Sorry. Anyway, Carrie Cannon, she's a godsend, and she makes these awesome shirts, and so you can check us out on Facebook and get a shirt. And Carrie, you know what? She makes them for other prisoners too. She's a really good activist, and we also get help from Parents for Pot, and they. Lance's daughter, she won the first scholarship, Parents for Pot, and that helps her out a lot because with her dad in prison, she lacks funding, financial funding, emotional support, physical support, mental support, all that stuff. She needs her dad, and so does the rest of the prisoners. Anyway, Amy Kovic from the Can Do Foundation, what a big help. Wow. Amy helps us cope every day, as well as Weldon Angelo from the Green Mission. And Weldon, thanks so much for all you're doing, my friend. And Professor Mark Osler, without him, and Haley Yeaple helping Lance with his clemency, which is pending right now. So President Trump, please, 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 please grant Lance that clemency so he can come home. And Freedom Grow, and everyone who supports Freedom Grow with their donations. Stephanie Landa, she puts money on their commissary funds, which helps them to be able to buy things like toothpaste and food that's actually edible. So activism is really, really, really important. Keeps Lance and the rest of the prisoners in touch of what's going on in today's life, when they should be home with the rest of us. Okay guys, we're back again. Sorry about the technical difficulties earlier, but anyway, so back to advocating for the plant prisoners. It's extremely important. Before Lance was put behind federal prison bars for medical marijuana, he was advocating for quite a few people, and one of those was Thomas Landreth. And hey, praise the Lord, Thomas Landreth is free. And I highly believe without advocating for Thomas, he may not be out yet. Anyway, so because of that, I met his daughter Amber and her family. What a wonderful bunch of people. And through Amber, I met Kristen Floor. She's a good friend of Lance's, and she heads up the VOW, Voices of the Cannabis War. They are excellent advocacy groups, and they're from our area here in Washington State, and they do a lot of good things. So,
we just want to make sure that everybody knows they need to call the president on his White House message line, and I actually have a link or a number.
If you guys could call this the White House and just leave a brief comment. That's all it is a White House comment line for the president. And it's not a political thing. It's we need President Trump to grant Lance his pending clemency. So if you could please call the number and leave your comment. I fully support the pending clemency of Lance Lohr. That would really, really help. And some of those volunteers tell you to email, and that's great too if you want to email. So take it away, Curt.
Well, let's keep getting together, and we need to follow through with the activism that we have going on. There's a whole lot of people that are out there just doing everything they can trying to get these marijuana prisoners, get them unlocked, get them out. You know, they're going to be big supporters out here, bigger than what the group is now, and they're just waiting for some help to get out. They're pretty much trapped in there. When you go visit or you know people that have been in prison for marijuana. They're actually pet prisoners, and nobody wants to release them because they're easy to get along with, easy to take care of, non-violent, and so it's hard for those inmates to get released. There's always a catch. So we need to be there to support them when they're having things go wrong and the prison doesn't want to cooperate and help them get released. So let's keep moving forward. We really appreciate it.
So y'all know advocacy, education is a big thing, and you all know what Lance always says. One team, one dream, y'all. Have a great day. Freelance Gloor. Free the pot, prisoners. No one should ever be caged for a plant.
No way. Okay, we're going to do it. Thank you.
Well, hello everybody. Helen Yeaple, Peter Yeaple here from Can We Talk 420, Solidarity Over Separation, the traveling chapter of the Human Solution International, where we live the changes we wish to see in the world.
That's right, everybody. Today we're joining you from Missouri, the state of Missouri. It's been 6 weeks, I'd say, since we got on maybe 4 weeks, since we got on the road. 4 weeks.
Has it been 4 weeks?
It's only been 4 weeks. Only been 4 weeks.
I think it's pretty.
September.
It doesn't feel like 4 weeks.
September, yeah. Well, I know. Well, but in that 4 weeks, we've been from Boston to Ohio, 2 different places in Ohio, to Florida, to North Carolina, and now we're here in Missouri because Saturday, October 19th, is the official first pre-rally kickoff to the Walk for Change.
Yeah, how exciting is that? And there's going to be, 5 chapters of the Human Solution International here. So far, there may be more.
Right.
We will have politicians. This is the time to gather with us and join our little peaceful militia.
Yeah, well, we've organized a walk from Southern California to Washington, D.C., beginning in June of 2020 and ending before the election, somewhere probably around the end of September, beginning of October of 2020. And we're doing this in organizing rallies across the country and people to walk across the country alongside the main group in other states. And we plan on walking to end prohibition.
Well, here's the mission statement. You want me to read that?
And to free prisoners. But please, yes,
sure.
Read our mission
Our mission is, through the unity of diverse communities, we will demonstrate the value of peaceful protest to bring about change.
Absolutely.
Our vision, the Walk for Change, is an action in motion, providing an organized platform for those seeking a common-sense solution to governmental cannabis prohibition.
Right, and we worded it that way specifically because this is common sense.
Yes.
It's common sense that we free this plant, and
Yes.
it's common sense that we free these prisoners. We have men and women spending life without the possibility of parole. In some cases, 45 people that are lifers for the cannabis plant. And there's no victims, so there is no crime. So we decided we needed to finally put an end to the tyranny and put an end to governmental rule rather than our government being people that work for us and spread our values and our ideas. And in a country where 65% of the country believes that cannabis should be legal, first of all, and second of all, we have 34 states that have medical programs. We have 26 states that have decriminalization. We have 11 states that have full recreational programs, and we have more people being thrown in jail still than we ever have before.
Right, and that's that's not even all of it. We know what the ECS is now. We know how the plant mimics human physiology and how important the plant is for us to sustain quality of life. That should be enough. But there's so many other things that cannabis brings to the table, so many things that it fixes, so that we can start to grow and blossom as the country we were meant to be, rather than this sick-filled society. That's all we are. Everybody is sick wherever you go. You look, you find sick
once
people.
Once we have plant freedom, we'll be able to figure out the proper,
correct
ways.
That's right.
more and more as we do them.
But
Because
we
let's face
need
it,
to
we've got so
free the
much
plant
junk out
to
there
do
on the
that.
market right now that we have to get rid of.
Yes.
So, but the only way really truly to do that is just to end prohibition, let people be able to grow the plant in their own home, juice it the way it's so they can live and sustain their lives. And
You know, we don't believe that the plant should be regulated, legalized, decriminalized.
We just believe it's like this.
Right. We believe that because that's we have to free it in that manner to get full use.
And to get healthy.
Healthy planet, healthy people, all the way around.
Yeah.
It's imperative. So this is why Peter and I thought up the Walk for Change. Thank God we have the backing that we have from the Human Solution International and the other sponsorships that we're going. Yes,
tons of groups
and the other groups.
Even SDZ has donated
for sure. We have backing from big groups.
Yeah.
Groups that can make a difference. We need backing from all the groups that can make a difference.
We need dispensaries involved. We need all cannabis businesses involved in this because your business thrives with freedom of the plant.
And this is the change that is for all of us.
Right, not just the 1%ers. I mean, we all have the right to be able to treat the way we should be able to treat. We should have that right. We should be able to grow that plant and juice that. With plant counts and all this other stuff, there's just too much when it comes to regulations and rules. When it comes to being able to viably use this plant correctly, the way we all need to. And listen, folks, when we use this plant correctly, and more important people do, we'll have a peaceful, more calm world where people have rational thought. There won't be all this hatred and fighting and infighting and such. It's not like that. It calms and relaxes the person's endocannabinoid system. It makes the person not suffer. It makes the person live a life where they're living on an even keel. And when you're living like that and you feel good and you are good, you're only good. You only can produce good.
That's right.
You know, and it's all through positivity, folks. Listen. Helen and I have set forth on this journey. We left our home. We left everything that anybody else in the world would think was crazy. Because it's that important. Right now, we've got our Pathfinder. We don't even have our trailer with us, and we're traveling. And we're doing it because it's important, not because for any other reason. Because I can't help but do it. Let's just put it that way.
Well, there's nothing else that we believe is more precedent than this. I mean, there's nothing more important. This has to take priority for us to have a future, for our children, our grandchildren, for the world to still exist.
We have to get past the thinking of small crumbs and this state, and if you have a card, and none of that means anything to me. I'm in Missouri today. If I was a card holder in New York, I could get arrested for treating in Missouri. It doesn't matter. You have to throw away all that
Exactly.
junk.
You cannot regulate Mother Nature. No. She regulates you. It is a nutraceutical and a metabolic essential.
It's a proven fact.
It is a proven fact, and this is the reason why we walk. One of many, many, many. But with the knowledge that it is a nutraceutical and a metabolic essential, and it is what we require to sustain any quality of life. What more do we really need? We also know how it rejuvenates the earth. So not only does it rejuvenate us, it rejuvenates Mother Nature herself.
It replaces all fiber products, all plastics, all fuels. We can do everything with this plant. We can employ everybody. We can take care of our veterans that suffer every day. We can stop throwing minorities in jail for bags of weed that can't ever hurt anybody or could never hurt anybody, and give them the opportunity to sell it the right way rather than to be standing on a street corner and taking their own
we can
liberties.
Sit back and listen to these excuses that there's not enough testing out there. That's ridiculous.
Stop it with that.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous. Haven't anybody die ever. For 10,000 years we used that plant. 10,000. And we used it without regulation, any regulation, before the 1930s. No regulations on cannabis, none. There was none. It was treated just like Mother Nature and a plant and an apple and everything else. You brought it to market, you paid your wares, but that was it. And that's the way it should be, has to be, and the only thing we could settle for. Remember, if you're a card holder, you're only a card holder in your home. Go to the next state over, you're a criminal.
The card, I don't understand why we're all so jumping up and down for the card
I
in the
know.
first place. We fought hard to protect our privacies.
Our HIPAA rights.
With the HIPAA laws being implemented. And we're now so easy to give it away. And not only give it away, we're paying to give it away.
Yeah.
And now we're opening, so we're paying to give our right away.
You're
and
voting for it for free. Then you're paying for it. I mean, how the hell can you do that?
And we're opening the door for ridicule, punishment for that. I don't understand that train of thought. I would never go for that card. Do I treat with cannabis every day? You're damn right I do.
And I will.
Will I hold a card? Absolutely not.
Nope, I won't ask.
Because
for
it's
permission.
my right.
That's right. I won't ask
To
for permission.
treat in the manner that I choose, because it's my body.
So, folks, if you believe that we should free the cannabis plant, we should end prohibition. We should just let this plant be just like any other plant that grows around us, and people should be able to have health. If you also believe that your rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that have been written in your Declaration of Independence, your first 10 rights to be free in this country are impinged upon, please join us at www.walk4change.us and become a part of the solution. Look at the human solution as well, folks. $4.20 a month. Cost of a cup of coffee at Starbucks.
$6.30 for a couple or a family.
Family, right. I mean, it's nothing. It's really nothing. You don't miss it. You put it through your PayPal. You don't see it. You don't miss it.
www.thsintl.org.
That's right. Become part of the solution. Let's not send another person to jail for this plan.
No, remember what Thomas Jefferson said.
If a law
is unjust, you are not only right to ignore it, you are obligated to do so.
You're obligated. That's right. And that's, the writer of the Declaration of Independence itself. So
there you go.
Again, he knew we were going to make bad law. He knew law was going to be bad from time to time. And he also knew that it wasn't the right of an American citizen to follow it if it was.
That's right.
Okay, guys, that's our piece. Please, here's the salute. It's 3 fingers for weed, 2 fingers for a peaceful march, and we're going to leave 1 finger for the government so they can shove
it up their ass.
That's right. Peace, everybody. Pete and Helen, Yeaple, Can We Talk? 420 TV, radio, and everything else that we do. Solidarity over separation, a traveling chapter of Human Solution as well right now. Look for us, guys. We're going to post our map soon. We're in Missouri now, going to Kansas, going to Michigan, then going to Ohio, and then back to North Carolina.
I just follow the leader.
And then to Atlanta, all before November 11th. So like we told you, we're moving.
Good luck. Wishing me good luck.
Peace, y'all.
Grand Rising, everybody. I wanted to come to you this morning from the farm in Wisconsin with a little message. This is a mini version of our normal wake and bake. We're going to get to that in a minute, but I wanted to get this out to you. I want to talk to you about how important it is to write letters. When I was in the military overseas, those letters were everything to me. And we have a little bit of a problem here in the United States. We have a bunch of pot lifers. In the link to this video, I'm going to be adding, and in the description of this video, I'm going to be adding a link to the pot lifers. If you go to Google and you look up pot lifers, you're going to see who is currently serving a life sentence for a marijuana conviction. And the number is alarming. I did some homework before making this video and discovered that 14% of all drug-related convictions are marijuana-based, cannabis-based. And too many of our community members are absent from their homes. They're absent from their jobs. They're absent from their role in society, and they're paying a cost for a plant, and it is ridiculous. There is absolutely no reason that 14% of our community needs to be taken away from us permanently. So we need to think about them. We need to think about them every day without fail. And I failed. I'm going to tell you that right now. I fail. And how do I feel? I get sick. I get busy. I get distracted. I get broke. And those things inhibit my thought pattern when it comes to thinking about those I can't see. And so I'm going to say that it's important to put them at the forefront. I've started a personal letter writing campaign with one individual that I personally know who is thankfully not serving a life sentence. But still, this is somebody that I relied on, I trusted, who worked with me so that I could help not just myself, but the other patients in my midst. Because that's what many of us do. We're not just helping ourselves. And I know that the world looks like that. And there are a lot of people out in the world who do help just themselves. We don't. We're not like that. We are the puff, puff, pass generation. We don't believe in holding. We don't believe in camping on it. We don't believe in preaching while we're holding it. We believe in passing it. And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to begin to write some letters. So if you've never written a letter before, I encourage you to go out today. Walmart is a great place. And I know a lot of people are anti-Walmart, but if you live in a tourist town, Walmart can be a great place to get postcards. Convenience stores, gas stations, sometimes the local pharmacy has a cute little section. I thankfully live in a tourist area. As you can see by my map here, we are a peninsula. And so everywhere you go here in Wisconsin, we have postcards. So I started a postcard writing campaign to my friend. And I owe him an apology for all the times I didn't write and could have and should have. So I've got his address. You need an inmate number. Okay, you're going to need some things. You're going to need a name. You're going to need an inmate number. And you're going to need an address. And you're also going to need to not say anything incriminating in any of these communications. Keep your communications happy. Keep your communications light. There are things that you should avoid when communicating with an inmate. Avoid talking about how free you are. Avoid talking about all the things that you get to do that they don't get to do. The things that you should be focusing on when talking to an inmate, how it feels to have them missing. Tell them that they're missed. Tell them you think about them. Tell them about the last time you thought about them, what you were doing, and what made you think about them. Memory recalls. Hey, bro, remember the time we were, and don't be afraid to speak in your code. You don't want to speak in such bad code that your letter gets filtered and it doesn't get delivered, because that can happen. You need to be aware that we're already dealing with a criminal justice system that's operating on a criminal level, and people who aren't what I would consider criminals, or you would consider criminals, are being treated as criminals. So our system is a little backwards. So when you're writing your letter, try to keep it clean. You want to make sure that you stay on your topic, and you want to keep the topic focused on them. Where is their progress? How is their family? Are their needs being met? Is there anything I can do for you? And if you can't do something more than write a letter, don't offer. There's nothing worse than somebody saying, what can I do for you? And nothing happens. After you've taken the time to say, oh, I need these things. There is a commissary account that you can give to. Every inmate has a commissary account. You will be charged a fee. So know this up front, that you'll be charged a fee. If you're going to send postcards, the thing I want to recommend is maximize your space. Use as much of this space as you possibly can. And keep it fun. Keep it light. It is not pleasant if you've never been to jail. I know that much of this community has seen the inside of a jail in one form or another. We all know someone who's there. We all know someone who's apart from their family. They're not at their job, and they're not at their post. They've been removed. So we have to restore them in faith back to the community and treat them as though they were never taken from us. So, dude, I apologize that I've been slacking on my duties. I'm back to my post. So don't forget, you need to own your inmate. Show them the love today. And until our prisoners are set free, we must continue to show up every day. Mary out.
Folsom Prison. That's where I want to stay. Let that lonesome whistle blow my fleas away.
So we free the plant. We need to decriminalize it. Means eliminate, remove all criminalization of cannabis. Remove it all, so there's no more crimes against it. Number one, yes, that has to happen. That doesn't happen with corporate pot. Not at fucking all. Doesn't happen. We need to free the prisoners, right? That's another one. Free the people, right? Let those people out of fucking prison who are sitting in there because they were arrested for weed, and now they're sitting in prison for decades for a goddamn plant that's never hurt anyone, simply because the government wanted a monopoly on it. Because the government makes hundreds of billions of dollars a year profiting through civil asset forfeiture, all these raids, all the property, all the equipment, vehicles, homes, jewelry, art, cash, you name it, that they plunder from people because of pot. They kick in doors, they shoot men and women, they arrest people, men, women, and children, drag them out naked into the street with guns to their head because of a fucking plant. This is your United States government. This is your state government. These are your city cops, your hero boys in blue, who are out to protect us and make America great again. Fuck you with that bullshit. Okay? Fuck you and your MAGA bullshit. This doesn't make America great. It makes it fucking worse. There's nothing great about raiding and fucking killing and caging people for fucking pot. It is the most ludicrous, stupid, asinine fucking ripoff of America ever. You feed the cash to the government, and you feed people into the for-profit prison system, so those fuckers can put money in their pocket using humans as a resource for their wealth. That's fucking slavery. Slavery because of cannabis. Oh, look, you're a fucking plant. Let's snag his ass up, throw him in fucking prison for 10 years, just like they did to in Missouri just a couple days ago to a man. He's sick. He's fucked. The dude has trouble with his health. He's on some sort of breathing machine, and he's got all these different issues, and his doctor says he would freaking probably benefit from cannabis because none of the other treatments that they're using help. But the cops kick in his fucking door, snatch his brittle old ass up, grab that freaking patient, drag him through the fucking gutter, throw him into their torture cage, extort him, charge him, and sentence him. He's been sentenced to 10 fucking years in prison. He probably won't survive. So many others are in prison for life for fucking pot. One guy, Craig Cecil, said never even fucking smoked pot. Never even fucking smoked it. He just fixed trucks. He was a fucking mechanic for trucks that hauled weed. Oh, such a dangerous fucking person. Government is what caused all this shit to begin with. Prohibition creates criminals. And that's how government uses the apparatus of law, builds a construct, says this plant will be illegal, and then we'll put it on this drug schedule and make it the most heinous fucking thing possible. And then when people have it, we'll go steal all their property, we'll kill them, we'll take everything they own and enrich ourselves. That's your United States government. That's your state governments. Those are your Democrats. Those are your Republicans. You all fucking do it. If you pretend you don't, you're full of shit. Your fucking Republicans and your fucking Democrats have fucked this country hardcore since their fucking inception. Two fucking gangs that are the government in the United States. The government is the Democratic and Republican parties. That's the United States government. They do whatever the fuck they want to do. They trash whoever they want to trash. They fuck whoever they want to fuck. They destroy whatever they want to destroy. And they all have their nice little sound bites as their justifications on why they want to fucking kill people and rob people and rape people and mutilate people and destroy American lives, destroy American wealth, everything, because they want to fucking profit. And if you're in their way, if you don't pay, fuck you. They're an extortion racket. They're a mafia. They're criminal gangs. How can you not fucking get that? If you don't get that, you're fucking an ostrich. Your head is in the sand, or you got that goddamn long ass neck and you've reached your head right up around the back of your back and shoved that fucking pointy little beak and that little round head right straight up your asshole. Okay? You're a fucking ostrich with your head up your ass. Okay? Fuck the Democrats. Fuck the Republicans. Fuck your government. You people did this to us. A third part that isn't typically talked about and that needs to be talked about more, because we can decriminalize the plant and we can prevent people from ever going to prison again. We can free the people with post-conviction relief. We can have expungement and to clear off their records so we can let people out. So we can decriminalize it so no more get in, and we can free people and say it's no longer a crime, so they shouldn't be in prison. They should never have been in prison in the first place because it wasn't a crime before it was a crime, and making it a crime was just a money-making fucking scheme by the government. They don't belong in fucking prison. They deserve to be released, so fucking release them. But now, what? Now you have these legalizers, right? People think, oh, we're going to legalize it. That means it's going to be legal. That means it's going to be no more crimes. It means everything's going to be hunky-dory, but it's not. It's just corporate pot schemes. And those corporate pot schemes don't decriminalize, and don't call your fucking incrementalist bullshit like, oh, it was a felony, now we're going to turn them into a misdemeanor. That is not fucking decriminalized. That is recriminalized. You've recriminalized it. You've taken it from one criminal aspect and you've added another criminal aspect to it. You've recriminalized it, but you haven't decriminalized it. Fuck, learn how the language works. Okay? D, to remove. D-E, to fucking remove. Okay? If it doesn't remove the fucking crimes for pot, then it hasn't decriminalized it. So fuck your bullshit. Okay? So decriminalize it. So no more people are ever arrested for it. It's no longer a crime. And let the people out of prison that have been busted for it. And then they want to legalize it. They want to create their corporate pot schemes. Okay? So what they do is they recriminalize. They construct all these stupid laws and limits and say, you're only allowed to have 6 plants or 12 plants or whatever the case may be, because these people writing the initiatives think somehow within their puny little fucking minds they have the right to tell you what you can and cannot possess. They're as bad as the fucking politicians. They're as bad as the fucking government. They're on the same goddamn page. One pumps money into the other one's pocket, and the other one is glad to oblige, because then the government employs the cops to go out and enforce the construct invented by the fucking legalizers. Okay? So the immoral fucking legalizers and their corporate schemes, if you vote for that shit, all you're doing is voting to fuck yourself, and you're voting to make rich men richer. You're voting so these fuckers can build up these fucking businesses and then sell them to larger corporate interests and larger corporate interests, so you have these global fucking powerhouses, and you goddamn ignorant motherfuckers are voting for that shit. And then once you vote for it, you sit there and go, well, how come we got corporate weed? How come all the companies own it? How come? Because you fucking voted for it, dumbass. That's how come, shithead.